Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's Nordonia Hills Board of Education meeting. Glad to have you here today. And so I hereby call this meeting of the Board of Education of the Nordonia Hills City School District to order. This is a typical meeting of the Nordonia Hills City School District Board of Education. It is a meeting in public, but is not a public meeting. The public is invited to watch the proceedings of the board. There will be an opportunity for public participation in the open forum section of our meeting a little bit later. If you are uncomfortable with open forum, comments and questions may always be submitted to the board or administration through emails or phone calls. So Mr. Brown, roll call please.
Mr. Kearney.
Here.
Mr. Larmer.
Here.
Mrs. McKinley.
Here.
Mr. Tidmore.
Here.
Ms. Vodich.
Here.
All board members present.
Great. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So at this point, we have our ceremonial oath of office. So I think Mr. Brown, you're going to take that one.
Mr. Kearney, you're up. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Matthew Allen Kearney,
Do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform and discharge the duties of my office
faithfully perform and discharge the duties of my office
as a member of the Nordonia Hills City School District Board of Education.
as a member of the Nordonia Hills City School District Board of Education.
Hello.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jason L. Tidmore Sr.,
Do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform and discharge the duties of my office
faithfully perform and discharge the duties of my office
as a member of the Nordonia Hills City School District Board of Education.
as a member of the Nordonia Hills City School District Board of Education.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Amy Vodich,
Do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform and discharge the duties of my office
faithfully perform and discharge the duties of my office
as a member of the Nordonia Hills City School District Board of Education.
as a member of the Nordonia Hills City School District Board of Education.
Congratulations to all of our new board members. Glad to have all three of you on board. All right, so the next item is the approval of our agenda this evening. Can I get a motion to open?
Motion to open?
Yeah, I would recommend that the board, add an executive session. We ran out of time in our work session. I would recommend that you add an executive session to discuss the employment of personnel at the end of the regular meeting.
That sounds good. Can we add that to the end? Do I have to take a separate motion for that? Can I have a roll call to add the executive session for the employment of a public employee?
Mr. Kearney,
Yes.
Mr. Larmer,
Yes.
Mrs. McKinley,
Yes?
Mr. Tidmore,
Yes.
Ms. Spodich.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, communications this month, we have two things. The first is, it's always fun to have School Board Appreciation Month at the very first meeting of some new school board members. This happens every so often. But the truth is this, for our school board, the work you do, I don't think the general public has really the idea of the amount of time and effort you put in, the thoughtfulness that you have in your discussions. And I know with Chad and Liz returning to the board, you guys have been board members through some of probably the most difficult times to be a board member, and it's greatly appreciated. Our three new folks, Amy, Jason, Matt, you guys are going to be board, and I talked to you about this earlier, you guys are going to be board members through probably the era that most redefines the Nordonia schools as we start talking about our facilities and whatnot. There's just so many exciting things in store, and I'm really, really glad to have your leadership as we work through this. It's going to be a fascinating year, especially, and your terms will be just filled with doing lots of great things for the kids of Nordonia. And you don't know it yet, but you're going to find out soon that the job is tough, but it's so rewarding when you do great things for kids and families. So thank you all for your service, in advance for your service. We do have a certificate suitable for framing that I'd like to give you, and also thank you. I'd like the public, if you could, please, can we have a big round of applause for our students? Okay, that's item number one. Item number two, again, there's a lot of work for this new board to do, and I did not think it would be fair to throw a bunch of things at you to vote on in this very first month. I think it's important for you to have good deliberation. And one of those things that I'm asking you to consider that I want to talk about, and I've given you, some information on this in past board updates, and I'll ask you to consider approving in February, is to create a new administrative position in this district. And I've given you the rationale for it and the job description, but I wanted to take this time to see if there's any questions I can answer and talk a little bit with the public here about what this position is. This position would be called Director of Educational Services, and we call it that because it sounds kind of generic, and it really is, because this new position would be taking some of the duties from most of the members of the central office administrative team and reducing them a little bit. That's one part of the job. So we have probably the leanest central office administrative team that you'll find for a district our size, and our folks do fantastic work. But I think we would be better performers if we reduced their load a little bit. So some of the things for our director of curriculum, for our director of student services, our director of business, some of those duties would come off the table. But the other thing that this position would do would be to bring back in-house the diversity, equity, inclusion work that used to be done in-house, that since Michael Douglas left us years ago, we've been kind of piecemealing. And at this point in time, we have two folks that are retiring, which makes it ideal for this time to create this new position. Dr. Deb Wallace later on this evening, you'll accept her resignation for the purpose of retirement. Dr. Deb has done all sorts of things with the district in terms of not only drug and alcohol programming, but she does work in bullying prevention, in health and wellness, all those sorts of things. Well, Deb's retiring. And also, Denise Ward, who is the consultant that we hired through the ESC to do our diversity and equity work, is retiring. She's leaving. And so this position, this Director of Educational Services, would do the handful of duties, and I printed up job descriptions for you. If I sent them to you, but if you'd like a hard copy, the job description that this position would do, they would do our Title IX work, our Title VI work, our diversity, equity, inclusion, not only programming activities for students, but also they would lead the professional development in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They would be in charge of the bullying task force. They would be doing all of these sorts of things. So the good news is this. With the two retirements, with Denise and Deb retiring, this position would come in at about a break-even point in terms of salary. It would just be a bit of an adjustment to how we organize the central office. And so, again, we've talked about it. I wanted to bring it to your attention tonight. And next month, I'll have a recommendation that you approve the job description so I can get busy filling that position. Are there any questions from the board about this new proposed position? Okay. Well, thank you very much. And again, I will recommend it in February. If in the meantime you do have questions or you think of something, please shoot them my way, and I'd be happy to give the board more information about it. Thank you. That's all for communications.
Great. At this time, we have come to the open forum portion of our meeting. And although the public has the right to attend board meetings, it has no inherent right to participate in the deliberations of the board without its consent. Speakers may offer such objective criticisms of the school operations and programs as concern them. But in public session, the board has the right to request that complaints about school personnel or against any person connected with the school system be directed to the appropriate administrator. The board now asks if anyone is wishing to participate in open forum this evening. If you'd please sign in if you haven't already, that would be fantastic.
Hello, my name is Karen Byers, 11716 Dunham Road. Probably could hear me anyway, but my name is Karen Byers, 11716 Dunham Road, Sagamore Hills. I have a 10th grader at the high school. I run a local CPA firm. I am also vice president of the high school PTSA, president of Building Boosters of Nordonia Hills. I'm on the committee for Positively Nordonia. I'm also on the steering committee for the new facilities, and I'm on the curriculum advisory committee. So I'm here as a volunteer and representing most of these groups to say welcome and thank you. We're all here to make our schools and our community better. You decided the best way you can do this is as a school board member. Thank you. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for all you went through to get to this day. Now the hard work begins. Hard work always appears as we look forward. It's easy to look backward and comment and review what has already happened, but it's hard work to look forward to create a path to the future. It takes leaders to move forward. We want you to know that we are here to support you in creating this path. The best thing we can do is take all of the energy we have and support you in your job to create the path going forward. For everyone here today, or viewing this later online, I challenge you to work. Work for the schools and for our community. We won't always agree, and most times that's really a good thing. Great ideas come from differences. Don't fall away if you have a difference of opinion on the path forward. Continue to work and volunteer in the schools and with the schools to make a difference. Be a part of that path forward. Again, welcome and thank you. I'll close this out.
Is there anyone else who'd like to participate in open forum tonight? If you'd sign the ledger, please.
Welcome to the new members. My name is Jackie Steele. Been a member of the Nordonia Hills community for about 2.5 years now. I have 3 students within the district. I'm here today regarding my daughter Logan and some of the issues that she's been having while attending the Nordonia Hills School District. So today, me and my wife are here just requesting your help with some serious issues regarding the hostile and toxic climate that she has experienced while being in Nordonia Hills Middle School. Her safety has been compromised many times. She's previously attended Lee Eaton School and again is currently a 7th grader at the middle school. And during her time here, she has been harassed and bullied by students and even certain staff members. Since about 2019, when she was in 5th grade, we have reached out to administrators, staff members, asking for help with this problem. Obviously, the harassment and bullying, intimidation has continued. My daughter has been exposed to racial epithets, slurs, threats, and told to kill herself multiple times. She has been called the N-word numerous times, as well as monkey and other stereotypical words and phrases. Just this past Friday, there was an incident where another student mocked her hairstyle and called her the N-word. The racial tension and hostile environment has taken a toll on my daughter's physical and mental health, literally. After a couple of years of undergoing extreme bullying, coupled with this matter not being resolved, my daughter now suffers from anxiety and depression. The pressure is very exhausting and overwhelming for her. We have watched her go from our vibrant daughter and transform over time, and we're witnessing the effects of the situations that she's been going through. There has been, for our sake, a nonchalant attitude from staff and administration. The bullying and harassment are extremely serious issues, especially in today's world. Children suffer when they are the target of these actions. And we have relentlessly attempted to get proper assistance and help from administrators in the district, again, dating back to 2019. There have been numerous incidents where we have brought the administrators' attention to different situations. Instead of this issue being resolved, staff members have actually accused her of not being truthful. Imagine how that would feel. We have been told that our daughter Logan is paranoid and needs thicker skin. What is that to say about a child who is crying out for help and seeking assistance from staff in a school setting? Some specific comments that have been said to Logan and us have been very unprofessional and callous. They were very disheartening and hurtful. One intervention that has occurred during this time is that Logan has been placed on a 504 plan. Unfortunately, there have been some staff members who do not adhere to the contents within her 504 plan, and 2 specific teachers have actually made light of it, saying that her 504 plan should be reserved for students who really need it. The 504 plan is a legal document, and we believe that the district is out of compliance during certain situations where they weren't following the 504 plan with fidelity. A prime example is when Logan asked to switch seats in a specific class where she was being harassed and bullied by some students. She wanted to move away from those students. The teacher denied her request and sent out notes that the students will not be allowed to switch seats. There are other examples of how the staff does not adhere to the 504 plan, which I am, myself, and my wife are willing to discuss with you. Again, we are simply requesting that you guys intervene and help with this situation. We believe that Logan is being bullied and harassed. We believe that certain staff members are retaliating against Logan because we have shed light on this issue, and we ask for your help. It appears that some students are being believed over our child during certain investigations, which have come back.
Sir, if you can quickly
Okay.
finish, I'm sorry.
Well, the point is we're just looking for help, and we're just deeply concerned about our child's safety, and it's just been a dead-end process from the start. And that's all I have on that, and just thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Steele.
Welcome, new board members. Welcome. My name is Shannon Steele. I am Logan Steele's mom. And I want to bring to and present to you guys your policy in reference to harassment, intimidation, and bullying. The introduction in your policy clearly states harassment, intimidation, and bullying of students in the school environment is substantially interfere with their ability to learn, perform, and feel safe. Therefore, any conduct, communication, activity, practice that occurs at any time on the school property, on a bus, during the school-sponsored event, at the times and or place set forth Code of Student Conduct. Okay? That constitutes as harassment, intimidation, or bullying involving students shall be strictly prohibited. That is your harassment. That's the introduction. I would like to state that based off of my husband's overview of what Logan has actually been going through, I'm asking all of you board members that you look at this policy, give a specific time frame, and transform this. This is not substantial. My daughter has taken her issues to the bullying task force, and every single time it has been deemed unsubstantiated as not bullying and harassment. Based off of your policy, it clearly states that what my daughter has gone through is bullying and intimidation. My child has had witnesses. She's also been told, as you guys know, that she's paranoid and different things like that and downplayed. But I'm asking you so that not just for my child, but all children, no child should have to deal with bullying or harassment, whether it's physical, mental, or verbal. It's still harassment, and it is not okay. And it actually obstructs their ability to learn effectually, okay? I'm also asking that when it states here that the person that are doing the investigation, it says the investigator shall meet with the complainant within a reasonable amount of time, right? That doesn't say specific time frames of when they should get back to them. I think, my personal opinion, I'm presenting this to you guys, that specific time frames be placed in this so that people are aware, they know clearly what to expect. We have no expectation of when this will be resolved because, again, our child has been going through this since 2019. As additionally, other students have reached out stating that they have gone through similar situations, black and white, of what Logan has experienced. So I'm asking you to please revise this policy, revamp it, bring it up to code in 2022. No child should have to deal with this and be afraid to come to school. So I'm asking you to revise your plan. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Mrs. Steele. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak for public participation this evening? Then we will move on to our reports from liaisons and to board committees, superintendent's committees, and other organizations.
Obviously, our three new board members, and we do not do I didn't meet with any groups over Christmas break.
It might be a good time for now to let the public know what committees everybody is on, because our new board members do get assigned to committees, and these are folks that you can reach out to in the public if you have concerns, questions in areas like this. And I don't know who wants to
I've
do
got
it,
it
because I
here in
didn't
front
take
of
the
me.
notes.
Yeah, I've got it here in front of me. I don't mind at all. So one of the things we did in our organizational meeting before this one is we went through and assigned the roles for these various committees. So for our finance committee, also known as the FACT committee, that will be headed up by Mr. Brown, that is going to be Mr. Larmer and Ms. Vodich. And I will continue to be the legislative liaison. In curriculum and instruction, it's going to be Mr. Kearney and myself. Welcome. Our facilities liaisons are, this is going to be Mr. Larmer and Mr. Tidmore this year. Our CVCC appointment is going to remain Mr. Verost, and he's going to be speaking with you just shortly. When that position is selected, that is a 3-year term. Am I correct?
Yes.
Alrighty. So, and are you in year 2? Is this year 2 or year 3?
Year 2.
This is year 2. Okie doke. The Nordonia Hills Foundation. The foundation does a tremendous amount of service work for our schools. This is going to be Ms. Vodich and Mr. Kearney. The Tax Incentive Review Board will be comprised of Chad, Mr. Larmer, and Mr. Kearney will be attending that. Technology and Information Systems, who will be meeting with Mr. Russ and his team, will be Mr. Larmer and Mr. Tidmore. Special Education Liaisons are going to be Ms. Vodich and Mr. Kearney. And then Mr. Tidmore and I will be serving with the NDEIC. And then I will continue on as the Student Achievement Liaison to OSBA. I know that was a lot to digest. It'll be on the website. Pardon me?
I think Mr. Veros has a report.
Yes, Mr. Veros, come speak to us.
I will read to you. First of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. Kearney, Mr. Tidmore, and Ms. Vidic to the Nordonia School Board. Mr. Brown, Dr. Clark, and Madam President. I am the representative from Nordonia to the Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. As Elizabeth said, it's a 3-year term. I'm in year 2 of 3. This would be my third 3-year term as a member of the school board for the Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. We represent 8 schools within the area. And I encourage all of our new board members, if you have not had an opportunity to visit the Career Center, please do. You can contact me. I can organize a visit to the Career Center. You can see what we do. So this is my report for January, which really is the report for December because January hasn't really happened much yet. But the Career Center held its annual food drive event beginning on Monday, November 29th, and it ended on Friday, December 10th. The food drive was in partnership with the Career Center's Skills USA local chapter. CVCC's 50th anniversary committee sponsored the drive and funded prizes for the classes who brought in the most items. The food drive concluded with an incredible results. In total, the final donations amounted to 13,560 some pounds, which was 452% of our initial goal of 3,000 pounds. The winner of the drive was the Heating and Air Conditioning Junior class, with the Career Center's Power Equipment Technology Junior class coming in a close second. All of the goods were delivered to 4 different community centers in the Nordonia, Twinsburg, Brooklyn Heights, and Garfield Heights areas, and are distributed to local families in need during the Christmas holidays. We'd like to thank all of those who contributed to this event and to give back to others during this holiday season. On Thursday, December 16th, the Career Center hosted the candle lighting ceremony for the Adult Education Full-Time Practical Nursing Class of 2022. This ceremony marks the completion of the basic practical nursing program. It also marks the halfway point of the program and is celebrated in honor of Florence Nightingale, the nurse who started the first nursing program in the United States. Very big thank you goes out to those and the entire nursing staff. On Tuesday, December 7th, Deb Monaco, our career specialist at Nordonia High School, organized and presented a career showcase of CVCC programs, which included all 5 branches of the U.S. military. Students had an opportunity to speak with current Career Center upperclassmen from the various programs and to ask questions regarding what it's like to be enrolled as a student at the Career Center. This event was part of Nordonia High School's rebranding week of the Nordonia High School Support Services, where Mrs. Monaco was a valued member of the team. Students were reintroduced to the career specialist role and how Deborah can assist them in the college and career exploration and planning process through career assessments, job shadowing, career portfolios, mock interviews, part-time job search, and assisting in Career Center program advisements. Finally, our next regular board meeting will be this Thursday, 6:30, at the Career Center in the main conference room. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burrows. All right, so our next thing is
All right, let's move to the superintendent's recommendations. Item 1, I recommend you approve the consent items listed.
Can I get a motion?
Motion.
A second.
Okay, a few things in the consent items. First of all is a donation to Nordonia High School of a toaster oven, and that's by the Building Boosters and Karen Byers, and it never ceases to amaze me the generosity of our community, especially Karen and the Building Boosters, giving this item to help out in the Teachers Lounge. The next is there's a minimum wage increase for the state of Ohio. We do have a few student workers who make minimum wage, so this will be in compliance with state minimum wage law. Those are TWE students. That stands for Technical Work Experience. So these are kids at the high school that actually do a lot of work on the Chromebooks, fixing Chromebooks. And the final item is approving overnight field trips. I ask the board, anytime our students go out of state or overnight, they approve field trips. And sometimes they come in after the actual trip, like in this case, where one of them, where the wrestling team was going to Perrysburg, and because of weather, decided that it would be safer to spend the night. And the next one is a wrestling team tournament coming up in Alliance.
Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Brown?
Mr. Kearney,
Yes.
Mr. Larman,
Yes.
Mrs. McKinley,
Yes.
Mr. Tidmore,
Yes.
Ms. Bodich.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
My final item, this will be the shortest report that I ever give you, you board members. My final item is that you approve the personnel items listed.
Can I get a motion?
A motion.
A second.
And there's a couple things outstanding on this. The first is you'll see the retirement of Deb Wallace. Dr. Deb Wallace has been with the district for years and years, our community intervention coordinator, and she has touched thousands and thousands of lives. She works with students with drug and alcohol problems. She works through bullying. She works through health and wellness, homeless situations. Just the breadth of the work that Deb does for us is absolutely amazing. We are going to miss her desperately. And again, she's just been stalwart for the district. And other than that, I want to point out to you just a leave of absence. Nicole Episcopo. Nicole Episcopo, great Nordonia kid, graduated a few years ago, 2013 maybe. who went on and got a zoology degree and came back. She worked for some zoos for a while, came back to work for us as a classroom aide and wants to become a teacher. And it is now time for her to do her student teaching. So she's going to take a leave of absence from her paraprofessional job to do her student teaching. And our hope is that when she's done with that, we're going to have a job opening for her because she's fantastic. And that's about it for this month's personnel.
Does anybody have any questions? Good. Mr. Brown.
Mr. Kearney,
Yes.
Mr. Larmer, Mrs. McKinley,
Yes.
Mr. Tidmore,
Yes.
Ms. Vodich.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
And that concludes my report.
All right, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Our first item on my agenda is to approve the consent items, and I recommend for approval.
Can I get a motion?
Motion for approval?
Next second.
Thank you. These items on here are routine items. We are adopting the minutes from our December 20th special meeting and regular meeting, as well as the financial statements for the month of December 2021. We can give a brief overview of our financials for December. Not much has changed as far as variances that are driving, things that are driving the variances from what I've presented in the past, but I will touch on a few items. And to remind the public, I know it's hard to see that information from where you're sitting, but this information is available on our board district website, and I put that up after the board adopts it. So that is available for a closer review if you'd ever like to look at it. For the month of December, we have revenues at just under $25.3 million. And when you compare that to last year, that is about a 0.9% decrease from the same time period. So our revenues are slightly lower than where we were last year. One of the major areas where we are seeing an increase in our revenues happens to be with our classroom fees and kindergarten fees. We're showing an increase this year over last year, mainly driven to we're in a full year of school here in person, doing different activities as opposed to last year. So that's driving that variance. On the expenditure side, our year-to-date expenditures through December current year is $25.9 million, and that is a 1.4% increase over last year. A lot of the similar things that I mentioned the prior year, or prior months board reports. However, I would like to point out a couple of things that happened that are happening currently. Our fuel for the district is at an increase of 287% from where we were last year. We all know what's going on in the economy with fuel prices, coupled with full transportation services this year as compared to last year. So that's driving a significant increase on that front, as well as last year at this time, the board approved a reclassification of COVID-related expenditures that were previously charged to the general fund, but due to some grants that were received last year, the treasurer at that time was able to reclassify those to those respective COVID-related grants. So our our capital outlay is higher this year compared to last year for that very reason. So our net income through December 2021 is at a negative $714,000. When you compare that to last year at the same time, that net income, or net loss, I should say, is at $137,000. Overall, our unencumbered, unreserved fund balance through December 2021 is at $8.7 million. And I'll take any questions if you have any over the financials.
I have one, but it might be more of a Matt Strickland question. Okay, so when you talked about the fuel, the cost in fuel, I mean, think about all the buses on the road. It's not cheap, especially these days. Are we in, and I'm sure it has come across, my computer before, are we in like a consortium or anything to help reduce our fuel costs, or can you explain that to me briefly?
We are, but Rick Wolf and I source the cheapest So it doesn't change. We've kept the same vendor now for 5 years, and it's in bulk. We always compare it to Peterman's national buy, but our provider is a little bit better. So we do source it out and take quotes and go to the lowest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like everybody else, you know. Are you going to Costco? Are you going to Gifco? You got your fuel perks?
Right.
So we just want the community to understand we're trying to get those best prices possible.
What is nice too is even with the COVID fluctuation in fuel, we are for the most part locked in for this school year, so it hasn't hit us as hard as it could because we lock in for the entire school.
That's good to hear. Thank you. That was my only question. Any others? Okay. McCullough?
Okay. Mr. Kearney?
Yes.
Mr. Larmer?
Yes.
Mrs. McKinley?
Yes.
Mr. Tidmore?
Yes.
Ms. Wadich?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 on my agenda is a resolution to approve the authorization of the advance of local taxes, and I recommend for approval.
Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Just a little background on this resolution. It is an annual resolution that's done, and what this does is basically allows the district to receive an advance on the property tax collections. Without this resolution, we would not be able to receive that, and the way that the district is funded is mainly contributed through property taxes that are received twice throughout the year. Usually in the March, August, September timeframe. Because we are funded heavily in those 2 time periods, our expenditures continue month over month. So without the advancement of these funds, the cash flow could become very tight. So this is an important resolution to approve.
Any questions?
Mr. Kearney?
Yes.
Mr. Larmer?
Yes.
Mrs. McKinley?
Yes.
Mr. Tidmore?
Yes.
Ms. Wadich?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. The next 2 items, item number 3, are very similar. These are more or less record keeping. The board passed a resolution back in 2010 to report to STRS, State Teachers Retirement System, and the School Employee Retirement System for employee contributions and the pickup of those by the Board of Education. A lot has changed since 2010 as far as pension reform back in 2013, and there was some need at the retirement systems for the Board of Education to adopt those changes for employee contributions. This is to clean up that over the years and to make sure that we're compliant on that front. So item number 3 is a resolution to authorize the employer pickup of employee contributions for State Teachers Retirement System, and I recommend for approval.
Any questions? Okay.
Actually need a motion.
Oh, I need a motion.
I'll motion.
Sorry.
I'll second.
Any questions?
No.
Mr. Kearney?
Yes.
Mr. Larmer?
Yes.
Mrs. McKinley?
Yes.
Mr. Tidmore?
Yes.
Ms. Wadich?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. The next item is very similar, but it's the School Employees Retirement System, and I recommend for approval.
Can I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Okay, I'll second.
Any questions?
Mr. Kearney?
Yes.
Mr. Larmer?
Yes.
Mrs. McKinley?
Yes.
Mr. Tidmore?
Yes.
Ms. Wadich?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and that concludes my report.
All right, we have here at the tail end of our meeting 2 executive sessions. There is not going to be any more action within the meeting. Now, if you want to stay here and hold down the fort, you're welcome. However, there will be no other action taken at this time. You're welcome to go on home. We will come out and adjourn the meeting. I thank you all for coming this evening. It's wonderful to see faces out there as we do the work of the district. So thank you so much. Can I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or rules or state statutes?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Kearney.
Yes.
Mr. Larmer.
Yes.
Mr. McKinley.
Yes.
Mr. Tidmore.
Yes.
Mrs. Bodich.
Yes.
Motion carries.